global ethics, and Siemens. Talking about global business and the widespread reach of global companies naturally leads us to a discussion of global ethics. Even the largest and most respected global firms have found themselves on the wrong side of the law and of acceptable business values and practices. What is ethics, and how does it impact global business? Ethics can be defined as a system of moral standards or values that govern the behavior of people, firms, or governments regarding right and wrong. Bribery and corruption are two of the most extreme and most common global corporate ethical missteps. Businesses commonly use bribery to get decisions done faster and in their favor. It is estimated that every year over $1 trillion in bribes are paid around the world to gain access to important markets and achieve other business objectives. Global giants such as Siemens can often find it difficult to monitor their own global workforce in terms of bribery and corruption, and recently the company found itself in this difficult position. Siemens bribery scandal. The Siemens case helps us understand how challenging it is to navigate the global ethical minefield. Siemens is a global powerhouse in electronics and electrical engineering industries. It is a company that's well known and respected for its technological excellence and innovation. Its global revenues are more than 76 billion euros, with more than 405,000 employees worldwide. In 2008, after years of investigation, the company agreed to pay more than 1.34 billion euros in fines to American and European authorities to settle charges that it routinely used bribes and slush funds to secure huge public works contracts around the world. How did such a globally respected giant find itself in this predicament? Beginning in the mid-1990s, Siemens executives used bribes and kickbacks to foreign officials to secure government contracts for projects like a national identity card project in Argentina, mass transit work in Venezuela, and a nationwide cell phone network in Bangladesh. Unlike most bribery scandals, which have been smaller in size and focused on one or two projects or countries, bribery at Siemens seemed to be a long-term pattern. Payments were allegedly orchestrated by mid-level executives and employees, dealings that flowed through a web of hidden bank accounts and shadowy consultants. There was even an annual bribery slush fund budget of about $40 million to $50 million, used by company managers and sales staff to cozy up to corrupt government officials worldwide. Company employees allegedly created off-the-books transactions, used middlemen posing as consultants, and delivered suitcases filled with cash to bribe foreign officials. Paying bribes is relatively common in many countries, and more so in countries with less transparent regimes. Bribes often take the form of grease payments, relatively small inducements intended to help push along decisions and transactions. For companies like Siemens, it can seem like a necessary evil to win coveted and lucrative large-scale contracts. Transparency International tracks illicit behavior, like bribery and embezzlement, in the public sector in 180 countries by surveying international business executives and ranking countries based on their perceived levels of corruption. Countries like New Zealand, Denmark, Singapore, and Sweden have the lowest corruption levels, while the highest levels are seen in most of the nations in Africa and the former Soviet Union states. Many global organizations and governments have issued international conventions against bribery and corruption, but these rules are not easy to enforce. For example, many countries have signed the Anti-Bribery Convention developed by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. The United Nations issued a declaration against corruption in international transactions. The U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, FCPA, makes it illegal for U.S. firms to offer bribes to foreign parties in order to secure or retain business. But American businesses have often complained that foreign firms get away with corrupt practices, and these rules make it hard to compete globally. For example, recently, a subsidiary of the U.S. oilfield services company, Halliburton, was fined $500 million in settlement of U.S. Department of Justice charges of conspiring to bribe officials in Nigeria. How is Siemens changing to become more ethically responsible? Firms like Siemens that behave unethically run the risk of criminal or civil prosecution, hurting their own reputations and harming employee morale and recruitment efforts. By clamping down on Siemens, European and American governments sent global companies a harsh message. Eventually, companies that use bribery will get caught, and the price will not just be financial, but also damaging to their global reputation. Siemens has made corporate-wide changes in an effort to eliminate the possibility that employees will engage in both illegal and inappropriate business practices. One of its higher profile changes is the creation of a new high-level compliance position to tighten anti-corruption rules inside the company, as well as improve the firm's global image. Siemens also made an example of its former executives, even the ex-CEO, who was not actually charged with any wrongdoing. A settlement requires executives to pay the company damages for failing to halt a culture of using bribes in order to win contracts. While it will take time for the company to change its internal culture, advocates of global business ethics hope that such corporate actions will help deter future executives from engaging in bribery and unethical practices. In settling with both the American and European authorities, the company was able to split legal hairs and admit that it violated the law, but it avoided either a guilty plea or a conviction for bribery. This may seem like a small technicality, but it is an important one. By following this very fine legal line, Siemens was able to maintain its critical status as a responsible contractor with the American and European governments, enabling the company to continue bidding on highly coveted public contracts in the U.S., Europe, and elsewhere. In essence, it amounts to a second chance for a global corporate giant eager to put the ugly scandal behind it.